Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ITTF Liebherr 2018 World Team Table Tennis Championships, coming to you live from Halmstad Arena in Halmstad, Sweden. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow. With me, Will the Thrill Bailey. How you doing, Will?
Hey, Adam. Oh, I'm looking forward to this game. I know you've had some fantastic matches to commentate on this week so far. Love listening to you, so it's a privilege to be on with you for my last commentary of the week. Can't wait to get going, man.
Well, I'm lucky to be the one to send you off, well, and excited to work with you as well. We've got Austria versus China, the men's team. This could be a setup for the greatest upset of all time. If, in course, Austria were to win this, Ma Long, the Dragon, the Dictator, the captain, is playing Robert GARDOS, the savior from last night, who won it in the fifth and final match. Xu Xin, the Cloudwalker, versus Stefan Fagel Street. And world rank number 1, Fan Zhendong versus Daniel Habasson, who's been quite clutch in the third. But this is a whole different level of test here. I mean, Will, if he could pull off the victory here, it would just be almost as big of a story as Korea playing United.
Wow, Adam, I'm not sure. Is there any way possible that you can see an upset on the cards here? Is there anything that they can do, that Austria can do to even make it a contest?
Absolutely, absolutely. They can swing as hard as they can on every single ball blindly. No, I mean, it's going to be a tough battle for sure. Here's a look at the brackets. We expect Germany to go through, but Brazil's been going strong. Japan and Korea Republic, that's an interesting one for me. That one could go either way. And then we've got, Sweden versus England. So, and there's our Austrian Karl Jindrak in the lower right corner with the beautiful scarf from 2003, Werner Schlager. The year of Werner Schlager, that was the president of the Austrian Table Tennis Association. And our Chinese fans, the Funza, Ma Long the Funza, in the crowd, getting quite excited. Fan culture, they're letting their faces be exposed here. And the Chinese flag has not started the covering action. I don't think they realize they're on live TV to millions and millions around the world. So as we call out the different teams, you're watching Table 2 today. In terms of what can be done, it's tough to imagine, but the only thing, so of the 3 players listed for China, we've got Ma Long, we've got Xu Xin, and Fan Zhendong. In the last 2 years, Xu Xin has been the most beaten of those 3, Will.
Yeah, well, I think that's the second game on. I think Xu Xin is the second game on. I think if Austria are going to pull off the biggest upset of all time in sporting history, could be. I don't think just in table tennis history. I think it'd be in sporting history. I think that second game, I mean, wow, is it a weakness in the Chinese team? Or, it's not much of a weakness, is it?
Right, it's such a stretch. I mean, I'm trying to think realistically. Like, Ma Long has lost 2, but in a best of 5, there's a greater chance. And here we've got the contingency from Xiao He in the back there, team managers, to a lot of others wearing the national team uniform. There's Mackenzie in the upper corner working out the right wrist. So everybody in position for a quick, potentially 3-0 victory. But I was going to say, Ma Long got beaten in a best of 5 by Jung Sang-eun, a player who wasn't even in the world rankings, and his last world ranking was world rank number 100. Every single player representing Austria here is stronger than that by world rankings. And now the big stars of the sport will come out. Look at that camera. The lens, seriously, some of the Chinese fans, there's another example, have cameras better than our professional photographers here.
It's great to see. Everywhere we go, Adam, we seem to see a lot of Chinese fans.
Indeed. Daniel Habasson on the left, Stefan Fagel in the middle, and Robert GARDOS, Robbie, 39 years old, the big brother of the team. Look at the world rankings, all between 45 and 60 in the world. I was going to say that getting up strong from the start could put pressure, it will put pressure on. There's a lot of pressure on the Chinese men. They've been cruising so far. I mean, they're by far the better practice, the stronger team. Again, Ma Long, the captain, the dragon, the dictator, currently world rank number 6, but don't let that fool you. He's arguably the greatest of all time. Xu Xin, the Cloudwalker, world rank number 4, 28 years old. And the baby on the team, Xiao Pang, little fatty as it's translated, Fan Zhendong, is world rank number 1, and he is explosive on both sides. But yeah, you get a little pressure early on, the early lead, you get some tentative and tight play. That's so important. And in terms of rhythm breaking, Robert GARDOS plays quite a flat game. I don't know if it looked dim, for a moment. was going to say, is it a dim, grim future? But we'll see. After all, in 2014, Robert GARDOS had match point on Zhang Jike, and 2014 was not the Zhang Jike that we saw last of him playing. It was him when he was beating Ma Long in the World Cup.
I think just looking back to the earlier matches from China, just trying to find a weakness from somewhere. The match against Portugal was their little chances against Ma Long. Quite a tough game.
Well, so the big one was Fan Zhendong versus Joam Geraldo. That was where Geraldo had 2 match points. He was up 2-0. Here's the pride of the Philippines, Rachel Ramos, the rock star umpire. Always a pleasure. This is my first time having her on court this tournament. I think I'd seen her once on her first day in, but she's very fair, very stable. She's quite tough to beat. Lai Siu Chung from Hong Kong, assistant umpire. But yeah, so Fan Zhendong has been beaten by Harimoto recently, 3-1 at the Asian Cup in the round-robin stages, but when it was really crucial in single elimination, didn't drop a match. Fan Zhendong before that, beaten by Dima, 15-13 in Game 7 at the end of last year. And then other than that, I think he hadn't been beaten since 2014 by a non-Chinese player. That was Cho Eun-rae. Cho Eun-rae did it in Korea. But yeah, if anyone's going to do it, I mean, timing-wise, Robbie GARDOS is aggressive. He's got a flat backhand. He's got a spinny backhand. He plays fearless table tennis, and his timing is faster than almost anyone I can think of in Europe.
Wow. A little interesting fact for you. His brother, I know, Christian GARDOS, actually won a bronze medal in the Paralympic Games.
Which class?
Class 10. So he's a very strong player as well.
Are you class 9 or class
7? Yeah,
7?
yeah. So So very strong player, and yeah, won a bronze medal in Rio 2016.
Little fun fact for you, Will Bailey, a gold medalist for class 7 in Paralympics. How many do you have in which Olympics?
I've been to 3, and I've got a silver medal from London and a gold medal from Rio, but yeah, no medal in Beijing, but that was probably the highlight actually of my career. The Beijing Games was pretty special, obviously being in China, and
right,
yeah, playing in front of a Chinese crowd was amazing.
Being in the mecca for table tennis, just something else. You saw the stats for Ma Long on screen a moment ago. Hasn't lost yet. Beat Hugo Calderano, the Thrill from Brazil. Not to be confused with Will the Thrill. Robert GARDOS here, 39 years old, world rank number 55, beats John Akuzu, Patrick Zatovka, and then Shart Kamala Chanta from India. That was a good win. That was to keep them from being 5th place in the group. They advanced and extended their dream streak last night over Portugal, with Robert GARDOS pulling off the victory. It all started in the 3rd match after the Austrian men were down 0-2. Daniel Habasson, the ignition there, the spark that continued the flame to burn through the Portuguese men. There's Lu Guozheng, the savior for China. 2001, saved about 8 match points, I believe, against Kim Tak-soo. One of the most crazy comebacks to see China really in trouble. And that's Daniel Habasson there, sitting in for Chen Li Chen. That'd be great, though. What if that's Chen Li Chen? I mean, could be adopted, could have been born and raised in China. Could be just his stage name because he speaks such good Mandarin that everybody said, we need a name that's easy for us. Chen Li Chen. I think that should be my name, actually. People often have trouble with mine where I'm living. So
exactly.
We will see, again, the best of 5. First player to win 3 games leaves a little bit more possibility for the unthinkable for an upset against the most unbeaten player, the Olympic champion of 2016, the world champion of 2015 in Suzhou, 2017 in Dusseldorf, most unbeaten player the last 3 years, 3.5 years, probably a lot more than that, Ma Long. So here we go. Robbie GARDOS will start off with the serve. Love all. This is the type of firepower I'm talking about. Sets up the 3rd ball, no hesitation. He can't afford to back off or get in the rally. The longer the rally goes, the more it will favor the stronger player, which is, no questions, Ma Long.
Love 2.
Good touch over the table, Will.
Surely, if you're Austria, if you're Robert GARDOS, you'd just be thinking, I'd be thinking, I'm going to enjoy myself here. I'm getting a chance to play Ma Long. I'm just going to rip backhands, rip forehands. As you say, go for my shots. Wouldn't you be thinking like that? You know, I know it's an almost impossible task, but you can go for it, can't you?
That's all you really can do, and so far GARDOS is doing just that. His interview last night was quite telling. He said their team is a China magnet. They've always drawn China, whether it's the group stages or later in the tournament at the World Champs. But he said he likes it because it's a real test. I mean, if you play anyone other than China, you think, well, but how would we do against the best?
Yeah.
So strong start back to the serves for GARDOS.
3-2.
Now, in terms of Ma Long, we've seen him lose the first few points in several matches, but I almost feel like it's his way of sort of walking the facility, sort of seeing what's around the corners, testing out the opponent. So good at identifying weaknesses. And that's the pressure of Ma Long. GARDOS plays two high-risk shots. He's got the serve right down the line, the follow-up attack right down the line. I mean,
great serve, wasn't it?
Yeah. Everything he does right in this, and still Ma Long's right there waiting with a forehand that can't be answered. So 3 straight points to start for GARDOS and 3 right back for the dictator. He's fighting, Will.
Good exchange there, and GARDOS is going for his shots and doesn't seem to be too overawed here. He's just going for it, and that's what he's got to play like the whole game, really. He's got to leave it all out there. Come on.
Across the body here, a little bit less rotation, but yeah, the pressure. This is the type of shot he's going to have to take to stay near the table.
I love Ma Long's little look sometimes. You know, when he loses a point, and, you know, it's a great point from GARDOS. It's sort of like a side look, as if to say, yeah, nice, I like that. You know, he's in it.
6-3.
Yeah, Ma Long turns there, sort of rubs the bridge of the nose in thought and says, okay, time to come back. We've seen some big leads. I mean, Timo, who was world #1 at the time, had what, like 9-4 and 10-5 and lost both games?
3-7.
Something similar. And even at the World Champs last year in Dusseldorf, Timo was up, I think, 8-4 in game #6 and up or down 2-3, and Ma Long came back. It was looking like it was going to go 7, but nope. Dictator dictates.
It's the right play there, wasn't it, from GARDOS? Trying to take the ball on, trying to play that ball.
Yeah, just a little bit low, a little bit late. I think he wasn't happy about the decision there. Again, it's a fine balance. He wasn't far behind the table, but against Ma Long, everything has to be quite extreme and specific. This receive leaves the third ball for Ma Long. The comeback has started. Second towel break. 2 points from down 3-7. Ma Long's making his way back. Now, in case you're curious, we talked about Fan Zhendong, Xu Xin, but the rest of the bench, Lin Gaoyuan and Wang Chuqin, quite promising young players. Lin Gaoyuan you've probably seen on the World Tours. He's been given a peek of the real world, the international stage. Several tests, actually. Some of the toughest losses we've seen in the last few years, Will.
Yeah, I remember one that sticks in my mind to Timo Boll, wasn't it?
Yep, 4-10. Yeah. Look at this hooking shot from Ma Long. He's cholang. That means he's really fighting here. It starts, you know it's starting to matter. You can't be down 0-1 and play tentatively. He needs to take the first. And a brushing backhand with the same side spin as that last loop. Or at least the same direction of side spin anyway. Ma Long regarded as the most complete player in the game, which is quite a compliment. He's the multivitamin of men's table tennis. That's a perfect setup here. Fast down the line to the forehand. Second time we've seen it in the exact opposite corner to follow. At the exchange rate since 3-7, Ma Long won't let GARDOS get to 11 before him. Won't let him get to 10 before him. But let's see. Oh, we got the opportunity. On 1 foot, saves it from the middle. What an acrobatic save. I can't believe it didn't hit his shirt. Really a chance here. This one was so surprising. Ma Long didn't seem phased at all, though. Held his ground, still in position. GARDOS had the opening. That was that look. He knows. We saw it last night in the 5th match. 1 point between them. A very difficult serve to receive. GARDOS has been solid so far.
Getting opportunities in the rally, though, isn't he? And that's great. You take confidence from that.
And it's funny, against Ma Long, you don't get opportunities, you earn them. And Robert GARDOS is working so hard to stay in these points. That's 2 points in a row that I think he realized could have gone either way. Not should have, but definitely could have. Tied back up. Look, the combination's so unpredictable. You know, Jill and I have talked about this a lot, but it's so important to constantly have the opponent chasing your patterns. If they can't guess where you're going to go next, it makes it really tough for them to set up. And especially with GARDOS' style of play, aggressive on the back of the table. Oh, just misses it one more time. You know, it's still the right tactic to play aggressive the way he is. I think GARDOS is playing very smart table tennis. To be 9-9 with Ma Long in a best-of-5 here in the first game, the most important one, other than the last, of course, says a lot for a 39-year-old world rank number 55 from a country that's quite small and a very strong team, but still, you've got stronger in Europe. The top seeds, after all. China, the number 2 seeds in this tournament, to Germany by world ranking and team ranking right now. Solid receive. He did the side swipe, deep to the backhand, but the follow-up shot, a little trouble. Now game point for Ma Long. Will, what are you thinking?
You did call this, Adam, didn't you? You said
he's going to get to 10.
Yeah.
That's right. Ma Long will not allow. Captain Long, is it a no? Would you mind if yes? Do you think you could give me no? Game point. Ooh! So game point saved, still a chance. Yeah, for me, game 1 is so crucial. If Ma Long gets a little bit in cruise control mode and he's loose, it's just so tough to come back.
Have you ever witnessed him get nervous and play a little bit inhibited?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
Many times. Sure. That's almost the only time I've seen a competitive match against him.
Let 10-0.
Many times. I just feel like since 2015, he's found a confidence and he's able to zone in, just drop into that sort of sunken place and dominate the opponent. I guess he'd be dropping his opponent into the sunken place in terms of get-out references or scores anyway, but back in control with game point. What's he gonna do? What's the receiver, Robbie GARDOS, gonna do? Oh, gets away with it. When Ma Long pulls back like that and turns the corner, you're already packing your bags and getting ready for game 2. And the tongue out here, Ma Long doesn't miss many shots like this. Sits up, too. I think the fact that GARDOS is waiting there for that flat hit cross court adds a little bit of pressure. Maybe just the tension, because Ma Long has to realize how important game 1 is. Even with the lineup waiting behind him, there's a lot of pressure on him to take this. Ooh! So game point to GARDOS. Remember, he had match point against Zhang Jike in 2014, but in the end, Zhang Jike took it. Good serve in near the body, the solid backhand waiting. It's not the serve itself, it's the third ball that's waiting that forces Ma Long to make a quality receive. So game point to GARDOS. fire. I mean, we've got a dragon on the other side, but he's the one right now breathing the fire. GARDOS takes game 1 over Ma Long. Can't change the channel. Stay right here. Game number 2 coming up right after this. Back for game 2. That was a look at the real Chen Li Chen, coach for the Austrian men. So, Will, you and I were having a little chat, as we often do, between games. Should we let the audience in on that?
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, in a best of 5 instead of a best of 7, I think it puts a little bit more pressure under the better player, really.
Whenever you start moving one direction, I like to take it to extremes to make the point clear. My chances of beating Ma Long in a best of 1 point are almost infinitely better than in a best of 7 match. Luck plays a bigger role. Momentum, I mean, there's just less time for someone to settle in. The importance of that first game. Ma Long here right down the middle. Tough to get a racket in front and on top of that. Not a bad receive at all. It's just Ma Long read where it was going and was right there waiting. I could be wrong, but that might be the first game that Ma Long has lost in a World Team Championships since before 2012.
Wow.
I think he was 21, yeah, 21-0 in matches without dropping a game since 2012. I'll check in with the Ma Long fan club for details. Did I show you my Ma Long passport?
I love that.
Thanks. Check out the inside. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is cool. Wow.
Little break here off the top edge of the racket. Will's impressed with my Ma Long passport.
I love this Ma Long passport. I wish you could see it, guys.
I wanted to show it at the airport, but I thought if they're not table tennis guys, they might not appreciate it as much as you and I do.
It's brilliant.
What if they accidentally stamped it? I don't think that would happen. I stay in Sweden for the rest of my life?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, good serve.
So first towel break of the game. The dictator with a score that's a little bit more like what table tennis fans would have predicted in the first, second, and third games of this. But the only way this will only be 3 games now is if GARDOS takes the second and third, which would be, again, the second biggest news of this tournament.
This is a backlash, is it? The Ma Long backlash from losing the first game now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to see him when he's angry.
Yeah.
Second point for GARDOS. You know, I was looking at it in terms of Ma Long being the dragon. If GARDOS had an N in it instead of an S, it'd be an anagram for dragon. It's got all the letters except that N, and bet you didn't think of that.
I didn't.
Oh, a backhand-to-backhand counter exchange. Looked like an apology there at the end. Not sure if it caught an edge of a racket or whatnot, but placement very wise here. We see this a lot with the cross-court touch shots. That little bit of side spin early on. Yeah, you can see the apology there from Robbie. I mean, 3 points, you know, another thing, not only a best of 5, but we're only playing 11 points as it has been since, what, 2001. So games can turn quicker, comebacks get recovered quite quickly. funny, Will. Someone could be playing my favorite player, and still upsets are so exciting to witness. It's just always exciting. It shakes things up. It makes you believe that there's anything is possible, right?
Yeah, and that's why we love sport, the unpredictability. And GARDOS will be so happy taking that first game. I think it was a game that, you know, when you're playing a player that's so, you know, such a legendary player like Marlon, to take that first game is what you need. Otherwise they can just run away from you, can't they?
Yeah, and I think it's a very fine balance. I think he was thrilled to get game one, but toned it right back into focus. It's like, yes, I took the first step, but the job is far from done. And losing 3-2, 17-15 would be an exciting, fun stat. But if you don't beat Ma Long, people don't remember it for very long.
9-4.
We can count the non-Chinese players in the last handful of years that have beaten Ma Long. I think 2. Wow. Timo Boll and Jung Song-un. I mean, these are... Jung Song-un was essentially a no-name internationally, but that credit, it's like having a hit single.
Yeah.
Behind the table, the odds go way down. GARDOS tried to stay in the point, but tried to get aggressive even from behind the table. Perfect placement, Ma Long just bullying him off the table into the middle.
10.
1 game point saved, 5 to go for Ma Long. Flip goes out 11-5. Quite a different score than in game 1 where it was 13-11. Ma Long dominates, and we'll be back for game number 3 to see who takes the lead right after this.
Machst du Durchschlag nicht mehr so?
Ja, er bleibt schießen. Mitte bleibt und dann du musst nicht unbedingt einmal die Kante umstellen. Das ist ein bisschen schwierig, ja. Aber du kannst das machen, ja.
Wie schnell spielen über dich?
Ja, genau, auf deine Tempo. Dann, er muss finden, dann du hast super. Okay? Drück ihn zurück.
That was the Austrian camp there in the crowd. Karl Jindrak, former national team player, doubles specialist. Werner Schlager, the president, and Amelie Solja. Very unique style who played quite well throughout. We're back for game number 3. This is the side of the table that nobody has lost on, the side that GARDOS is now serving on. I'm not especially superstitious, but there are practical reasons why this could be a factor. Good spinny shot, followed up with a change of pace, a flatter bullet. You're not going to see 2 shots the same unless they're bullets to good placements. I mean, GARDOS is really mixing it up and sort of has to do that to break the rhythm of Ma Long, which isn't easy to do.
GARDOS has got quite a good history against Chinese opposition. Why do you think that is? I'm getting some results through that he's had in the past. Twice he's lost close to Zhang Jike. Why do you think that is?
A handful of things. 1 is timing. He's close to the table. 2, he's unafraid. He plays bold, and I think he has a really good concept of how to play under pressure, high-risk play. I mean, after all, he's 39 years old, and he's playing super aggressive on top of the table. This is pretty unusual.
1, 2.
Nice turn to the corner here, loaded with spin first. You know, in terms of practice partners, the best practice team, the best everything team, no question, China. But in terms of practice, they don't have people playing European strokes so much in the Chinese national team.
3, 1.
I actually say that not knowing for sure. I would just imagine it's a little bit tougher to raise somebody to that level and be like, hey, all the good habits you learned that make you dominant, we're going to ask you to take a back seat and pull that elbow in a little bit and change your rubber.
I remember having this conversation with my friend Dan, actually.
Dan Ives?
Yeah, Dan Ives, and he said that he believes in the national center, training centers in China. They have got European style players, you know, like Timo Boll. like these guys, and they, to get the variation.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's why I sort of qualified my statement, because I realized they're just so well prepared. Now, acknowledging this serve here, that deserves some acknowledgement. That was the perfect length. When do you see Ma Long hesitating like that at the back edge of the table? Look at the scoreboard. 5-1 at the towel break. This is complete role reversal. I mean, 2-1. This is when your opponent is one game away and they've already beaten you twice. In terms of pressure, Ma Long will be tentative, he will be tense, and he will be fired up. He can't be calm and cool down 1-2 in a best of 5. The quiet Ma Long fan club. #go !! Ma Long. Watching nervously. It's funny, I learned that in fan culture, there are different fan clubs for different players that have different rules about how you cheer and when you cheer. If Ma Long loses 3 points in a row, you will hear Jayo, Ma Long, Jayo, but not every point.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear.
Yeah. If they feel that he needs it, otherwise they let him do his thing. It's a very respectful fan club. And other fan clubs, sometimes Ding Ning's fan clubs, Zhang Jiko's fan clubs, they just feel like, be there every point and be vocal about it, and different cultures for different fan clubs.
With regards to Zhang Jiko, is he coming? Can he come back, or is there any way back? Do you know anything about that, Adam?
6-3.
Well, I've heard a rumor that he is coming back, but I'm skeptical to see that he'll ever be in the form that we remember him in from, 2011 through 2014. He had some amazing years. And in training, he looks amazing every time there's a comeback video, but in the tournaments, I just haven't seen him come back to that level. Wow, that last one. I think GARDOS was saying a little bit more on the elbow here. The idea was right, but the execution was just a little bit too clear a forehand for Ma Long. Ma Long is like a tripod that he's so stable, he's set up to not fall. He's always on balance, and even when he's not, he recovers so quickly. Agile, fast, even creative. I know he doesn't get credit for that. Some people say machine because he plays the smart game and doesn't miss. But he really has some of the most spectacular shots we've seen. Outstanding play. GARDOS playing every risk. He got the break. He got a net, which was crucial in here. A little bit of luck and the tongue out again. And when Ma Long goes to the backhand serve, I mean, this is a sign of trouble. Like Timo when he was playing Dima, and he's like, the serves haven't been working, and he just went to these nothing backhand serves and won the game. I mean, that was one of the most fascinating indicators of a mature, flexible player. Look at this once again. 8-4. From 5-1 to 6-4, Ma Long started creeping right back in. Second towel break of the game. Alexander Chen there on the bench supporting heavily, part of the team. GARDOS really, it's every shot is like, I have to take a risk. If I play anything safe, I'm done.
You don't see these backhand serves much from Ma Long, do you? I haven't seen them at all for a while.
Under trouble, yeah. I mean, on the World Tour since, I don't know, I've seen him play a handful of times. I've seen him go to it, but only when he's in trouble. Wow! Every shot. The serve is risky, fast and long to the backhand. Ma Long rips it, and who's there waiting for not a block, but a counter? GARDOS right now is on volume 11 for every shot.
Perfect.
Wow, the serve, this is how Ma Long used to serve. I don't see him try these aces. GARDOS has tried it probably about 5 times so far in this match. Maybe 4, I don't know, but with more frequency, with greater frequency than anyone I've seen in the Champions Division this tournament, and now 6 game points.
Just the unpredictability, isn't it? Of the serve and the way he's playing. It's so unpredictable.
It has to be. If Ma Long has any sign of what's to come, he'll be there waiting, and it'll just be devastating. We've seen greater comebacks. Ma Long against Timo, similar score. Ooh. But he took the chance. He turned the corner. If Ma Long doesn't play it the other way, I think GARDOS has a decent shot at winning this point the way he's been playing. And it does add a bit of pressure. Ma Long right there, it just looks like a drill. Calm and cool, sees the opening. 4 game points left for a 2-1 lead for the unthinkable. Now, when you have that 1 point, it's like I said, obviously GARDOS and myself are quite different in skill level, but he's had nets, he's had a little bit of luck when he needs it. And a big timeout here. I think this is the perfect time for a timeout. You've still got 3, and against Ma Long, in some senses, it might actually be a little bit late. In terms of cushion, 3 points against Ma Long is like a half a point against other people.
I wonder what serve he's going to come up with here. Out in the long, fast one, down the line.
I think long and fast into the backhand.
Yeah. And then coming in crunch one.
The other possibility is, if he went for something a little bit more Schlager-esque, that high toss, and tried to keep it really deceptive and keep it tight. I mean, if you can hope that Ma Long is expecting a long serve, because you've been playing about 50% long serves, which still isn't a majority.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious what the exact numbers are here. But this is his, what, last serve?
Yeah, 7-10.
Yeah, he's got to make great. He does not want to be on the receive at 8-10. That's, in terms of dictating, I know that goes to Ma Long more in general. After all, that's what dictators do. But when you have the serve, it's the only time you have any shot in table tennis where you can do anything you want knowing what's going to happen. I mean, just shy of a bad toss accidentally, you're starting the point from scratch. That's not the case when you're not serving, so you're guessing a little bit on what the opponent's going to be serving. In terms of reminders, it's tricky. GARDOS, if he keeps up what he's been playing so far, his chances are good to take this game. But Ma Long is a legend for a reason, for many. He went safe with the serve, like I considered maybe after a little discussion. Ma Long saves the net, stays in the point. Now this is tough. The parachute has been pulled, the lifeline has been called. GARDOS looking for that crossover point. Ma Long is so tough when you think about areas where he might be uncomfortable in the backhand. You're looking for that elbow. The wide backhand doesn't seem to be a problem. Still 2 game points left, 4 in a row for Ma Long. The first shot is in. I'm really wondering, you know, GARDOS plays it fast, aggressive. It's worked out quite well for him, but it's been trouble in terms of changing patterns. So that one's a bit spinnier. I mean, that's what I was thinking. If we see a really loaded spin shot that's a little low, maybe even shallow on the table, it could be tough for the timing of Ma Long to counter. He's been at the back edge of the table.
He went for the forehand flick last time, I think, in the last game. A big forehand flick to win the game. This is another big point here.
No, he does it! GARDOS! I can't believe it after all that. 10-4. 5 in a row for Ma Long. Was it a long push? I don't know, but the counter cross court has Ma Long shaking his head. Snap shotgun reaction. How can you be on the seat at all on the bench for Austria? I mean, your chair's got to be on fire in moments like this. A 2-1 lead for Robert GARDOS and a best of 5 against the Dragon. There's nowhere else to be right now. Game 4. Stay right here to see if the unthinkable can be concluded.
Din är antisch. Ja, äter sig till matchen eller faller den. Din märks det, din är pissing.
重新调动也是现在人有点沉，稍微跳一点，轻松点啊。
然后再调动，加油！加油！
Pissing det så så pissing mamma.
So here we are back for game number 4. You asked if I had seen Ma Long play under pressure. This is Ma Long under pressure. You can tell the gulp there, the sweat, the demeanor on court. He's lost 3-1 before. His only loss in the World Championships for teams was to Timo Boll in 2010 in Moscow to Timo Boll, and it was 3-1. GARDOS does not want to go to a 5th. Now, Ma Long is on the side of the table that hasn't lost yet, Will.
If you're a betting man, Adam, I know you're not, but if you were, what would you say the odds were here for GARDOS?
Well, 1 in 4?
Really? You still think it's, yeah.
Well, it's Ma Long.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds grim, and it's not my job to believe.
Yeah.
It's Ma Long's job to believe in himself. It's Robert GARDOS' job to believe in himself. I'm just trying to keep it real from a statistical standpoint. I mean, we're looking at a player who's only lost once in a World Team Championships and played 21-0 since 2012 without dropping a game. But
that is remarkable.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's also more reason that he would feel the pressure, because being in a situation like this is as foreign to Ma Long as GARDOS is to China.
Yeah.
I mean, this hasn't happened to him since 2010. He probably can't even remember. Well, I'm sure he remembers what it feels like, but it's got to be strange.
2-0.
And don't get me wrong, you know I'm a fan of upsets, regardless of who's playing. It's just so exciting. So, yeah, I hate to put a number on it just because can't predict the future. That's the best way to look foolish, but still, I think pretty, I don't know, educated guess.
Yeah.
My best reasonable claim, hopefully.
Let 2-0.
Off the top of the net, but a beautiful counter, and even the cover, the receive of serve here from GARDOS. Watch how baseline the second bounce is. There's that spinny one. Ma Long a bit flatter on the drive, and then the counter.
It's going to be interesting to see how Ma Long, you know, can pull this back together. You know, he's a legend. He's one of the best of all time, but can he handle this type of pressure? I think we know he can, but...
Will he, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like it sat up. You know what? GARDOS has missed 2 shots that were big shots in game number 1.
Yeah.
And he came back to win the game. We saw it last night against Portugal. He had his head back in the air saying, why on earth? How could you miss this? That pose right there, but he's regrouped, he's regathered, and he's come back to win not only the games against Ma Long, but his match last night. You know, I thought Austria versus India could have been trouble, and look at them here.
Yeah.
India, again, with 6 men in the world top 100, just took the Commonwealth gold medal.
Oh.
Beautiful backhand punch, GARDOS ahead. It's funny, as commentators, we've been thanking China for the longest time for giving us meal breaks and rests with all their 3-0 victories, but if this one went to the 5th and deciding match, I mean...
Wow, that would be amazing.
I love moments in history and being here for them, and as much as I love the Chinese national team, seeing a bit more of an even battle just would inspire. Good touch, good placement from Ma Long. I think GARDOS says, why not flick? Why not go for the shorter stroke aggressively? But that's just the perfect placement of Ma Long. Watch this ball. Is it going to come off? Is it going to come off? Ooh, barely. Jeez.
Let 4-0.
I think that gave Ma Long a little bit of confidence, that down into the table, let mid-service or mid-point service. It's funny, these little things, you know, sometimes a player will do that. Both Ma Long and Fan Zhendong like to do that. I see a lot of players actually hitting it back down into the table after a let is called. And there's just sort of like a swag about it, a way of saying like,
Yeah.
I'm sure that the point is over, but I'm still giving you back the ball.
Yeah.
These are the points. GARDOS was up 4-3, yeah?
Yeah.
3 in a row for Ma Long. In terms of what makes the greatest and what makes a champion, I think how you play under pressure, how you play when you're down. It's easy to win gracefully. It's easy to stay on top. Actually, take that back. It's not always easy to stay on top, but easier in many senses in terms of grit, perseverance.
Sometimes to win when you're not playing your best is what makes, the real champions. And you have to grind out matches like this, you know.
That bending backhand, there's a bit of side spin on it as well that makes it more awkward. And again, with tension, under pressure.
Mistiming it.
Right, you tighten up a little bit. This is why being calm is so important. It's a fine balance. But that hesitation, here's the spin shot, there's the bend.
Yeah.
But yeah, a tight Ma Long, it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
You can't adjust as quickly. You're a little bit slower. It's like, think about on a day when you lift weights and then within the next 2 days you play table tennis and you're missing all these shots. That's what it's like being nervous on a smaller scale, but the same effect. Nice parallel shot here from Ma Long. It's funny, when you said not playing his best, I think that's, of course, true because we've seen him play his best, but I don't think he's playing poorly. I think GARDOS is playing almost perfectly. Like just doing everything he can to make it challenging, to make it unusual and uncomfortable for a player who's so comfortable with almost everything. We are getting close here. We're getting into the business end of the game, as Don Parker always said. And I learned that he believes somebody probably said before him that he probably heard somewhere. So now I don't feel so bad. Don't feel like I have to copyright him every time. But I did anyway.
The legend that is Don Parker.
That's right. So GARDOS with serves here. 2 big serves.
Great shot.
Ma Long is quite fired up right now. You can hear it. I mean, every point, especially against serve. That is not an easy ball. Ma Long takes it from below the net and counters it down the middle of the table with pace, too. It's the right idea for GARDOS. He's trying to get in. It's tough to be much closer to the table than that, although it did feel like he was just a step behind as he was trying to lean forward and just add some pace to that ball. Where's that bending backhand? Inside out forehand. Where's the down the line forehand when he turns the corner?
He needs something very special now.
It sounds so dangerous to turn the corner here.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave anything unlocked with Ma Long in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the flick goes out. Ma Long up 10-7 here in game number 4. 3 game points to send this to a deciding 5th. You know, credit to GARDOS. He looks a little bit down, but he looks like he's clearly focused and knows how important it is to play every point as if it's 0-0. Back to the game plan on the receive. 3 game points for the Dragon.
Net 10-7.
And that's a tough ask with that receive. Solid serve from Ma Long to earn the popped up 3rd ball. And even the bench is watching nervously. The face of Fang Zhendong here, scratching the head, just very guarded optimism, if that, from the players. But we will see the decider, Robbie GARDOS, versus Ma Long, 34 months at world #1 and still arguably at the top of his game. Stay right here to see what happens.
Wartet hier unglaublich sicher mit viel Speed. Ich muss ihm überraschen, einmal raus. Was wir so weit kommen.
Marvelous Long, Ma Long there, the fan club, the variety of different signs. They feel that he really needs it now, and I think they're right on about that, Will.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big test now for GARDOS. Ma Long now must be very confident that he can see this game out. You'd imagine.
It's funny, I feel like he has a healthy balance of confidence but respect for the opponent, not relaxing or overly confident.
Yeah.
Just enough to make sure he plays his game and stays loose. Wins the last game 11-7. Outstanding, the backhand. Only a few players on earth can consistently play this shot with confidence from behind the table and finish a point.
Chinese bench really animated here after this point. Okay.
You mentioned Robert GARDOS has to start strong, and I think the point was very well played, but score-wise, it's like losing close versus winning. They're just night and day different. So if you don't get the point here in terms of confidence, it's tough to gain confidence playing well and losing every point.
And it's distressing as well for GARDOS because he's played, as you say, he's played two good points at the start of this last game, hasn't he? He hasn't done a lot wrong.
Yeah, that's true. That was the sorry, but also the
Sorry.
And that's just how important it is. Ma Long, again, as fair as they come.
Yeah.
He gets the apology in first, but can't repress the excitement. And just has to pump himself up, really. I mean, he's doing everything he can to bring out the best player because that's what he needs right now. No timeouts left for GARDOS.
Huge respect for Ma Long here in this match because I remember him playing a counter topspin, a really hard counter topspin in the last game, which, you know, it takes courage, you know. And he's come back from that, and he's won, you know, he's come from behind, and now he's dominating this last game. You've got to give a lot of respect for Ma Long for coming back.
Oh, GARDOS has worked so hard to earn good opportunities. Same in game one. But Ma Long has just turned it up a notch in terms of his consistency and pressure. I think it's interesting to see. I've noticed with a lot of the pros, the change of grip on service is common, but to see two fingers under the backhand side of the racket, something I've noticed a bit more. Truls Moregard is one of the few who uses that sort of mid-play, just sort of his constant grip.
Yeah.
Schlager serve. It's funny, in terms of guessing odds and whatnot, I'm thinking back, and it would have been very bold down 1-2 when you asked me to say 1 out of 10, and it might have sounded crazy, but I think many would have said that. That being said, GARDOS had 7-7 and had serves in game number 4. That was, for me, a really big pivot point that late in the match. 6-0. The other way around, if it were 6-0 and you asked me, I might say 50-50.
And now Ma Long's really starting to relax, isn't he? You know, you can see the difference in his performance in this last. It's like he's, you know, become himself after that fourth. Now he can really flow.
Yeah, I think he's found that healthy balance between pumped up and just Zen mode. Ma Long has embodied the dragon. So not a point yet in the decider for Robert GARDOS. He will fight till the very end of this.
Oh, it's a shame. It's a shame to see it though for Robert GARDOS, isn't it? Because he's put in such a good effort, and to go down like this isn't fair, really.
To liken this to someone who's, I don't know, to help compare this to something for non-table tennis people.
What can you do?
It's like having the biggest break of your life right in front of you. Like having everything you've ever wanted on a plate in front of you and not being able to eat it.
10-1.
And a mercy point happened before we came back. Ma Long gave the mercy point. GARDOS is going to play it out.
2-10.
I mean, it's funny, I've seen mercy points given right back, but in this tournament, you have to give everything because you've got the whole team watching and you've got a long fight ahead. In theory, if there's an upset against the Chinese team, Robert GARDOS could be playing another match.
Yeah.
Need to look at the lineup again. 8 match points for Ma Long.
3-10.
Good attempt there, 360 for Ma Long. It still seems unthinkable. But so did it from the start that he'd even get one game, let alone 2. Tries to go around the net with it. Ma Long. That point continued a lot longer than I thought it would, and the fans have a lot to celebrate right now. Ma Long not disappointing at all, pulling through in quite a testing battle there. Will, I mean, it just speaks to how superhero Ma Long is.
Yeah, massive respect for Ma Long for coming back. It was he looked nervous, you know, when he was 2-1 down, but he showed his courage and his, you know, you call him the dictator and you showed why, you know. Awesome performance from him, but you've got to give credit to GARDOS as well. What an effort to go be 2-1 up against one of the biggest legends of the game.
We're going to get a chance to see the mercy ball that we missed before. 10-0. Wow. It's funny. There are different styles of mercy points. Sometimes players try to make it look really casual, like it, you know,
serve it into the net by accident or something.
Right, exactly, like the top of the net.
Yeah.
But, you know, the 11-0 win from Ma Lin against Timo Boll was an accident. He was trying to serve it into the net and accidentally aced him, served a fast, long serve. Ma Long's was almost into the next court right there.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the table. I think he wanted to make sure that there was a point on that scoreboard.
Yeah.